Not everyone in a leadership position deserves to be there. Just like we have great leaders, we've also got leaders who could be described as poor at best. Unfortunately, most of us can't seem to identify the specific factors that make a person a bad leader. But all of that's about to change. In this video, we'll take a look at 15 qualities that will help you to recognize a poor leader. Sound good? Let's get right to it, shall we? Welcome to alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Number 1. They are resistant to change. Change is an inevitable part of life, and this is a strong mantra that most successful leaders live by. Great leaders understand that change is a necessary part of growth, and sometimes we do need to change how we do things to achieve different results. However, poor leaders never want to change. This is because it requires them to leave their comfort zones. They believe that if something isn't broken, then there really isn't a need to fix it. But what if the thing isn't reaching its full potential? Isn't that enough of a reason for a change? Change comes with a certain level of risk, but it also comes with a certain degree of new opportunities. If a poor leader is willing to see beyond the limited scope they've built around themselves, they actually stand a good chance at becoming a better leader. Number 2. They lead for a promotion, not a cause. Poor leaders don't have an ultimate end goal in mind. They're usually too focused on a promotion, which in turn translates to a better salary. Poor leaders, they're not interested in saving the world. They do not have any cause that defines their actions or leadership policies. Instead, they're focused primarily on solving the next problem because of what it promises them. Number 3. They can't take criticism. Every leader will be criticized, whether they like it or not. Sometimes this criticism will come in the form of constructive feedback, and other times it'll seem a little too harsh. Now, how a leader reacts to either of these shows what kind of leader they are. If they see the criticism as an opportunity for growth, then this is a sign of an inspiring leader, a leader who's ready to learn from this mistake or event to prevent it from happening again. However, if this feedback is met with nothing but disdain, scorn, and anger, well, the leader in question is no doubt a poor one. Leaders like this see feedback and criticism as a sign of weakness, so they do everything in their power to avoid being criticized. Usually, these leaders are surrounded by individuals who feed them the validation that they so desperately seek. Number 4. They are selfish. Poor leaders are easily identified by their need to always have the world revolve around them. They always want the efforts of the team to be geared toward their own success. But it gets even worse. They never want to be seen as weak, so they don't mind blaming the team for their mistakes. These leaders can also make decisions without involving the team, but when things go bad, they won't hesitate to blame the team for the misfortune. What sucks the most about this type of leader is their obsession with being right all the time. It wouldn't be long before this poor leadership results in a toxic work environment, where the opinions, thoughts, and creative ideas of team members are so quickly swept under the rug. Number 5. They always want all the glory. Look, it's bad enough that poor leaders adopt a selfish leadership style, but it gets a whole lot worse when you realize that a number of them also take all the credit for the success. A poor leader never wants to be seen as a failure, even though failures never define us as humans. Instead, they want to be seen as the perfect person who never makes mistakes, as that individual who does every single thing right, as if it exists. Consequently, though, these leaders take the credit anytime things go really well. However, they always blame someone or something else when mistakes or errors happen. Number 6. They don't have core values. Every great leader lives by a set of core values which are usually reflected in their leadership style. These values typically determine how they relate with other people and how they react to certain situations. However, when a leader lacks core values, one can say that they are simply blowing in the wind, moved and easily swayed by other people. These core values define our behavior. So what do you expect from a leader with no understanding of their behavior? This leader will eventually make decisions which won't just negatively affect other members of the team, but possibly the entire company or organization as a whole. Number 7, they don't inspire a change in others. Great leaders always inspire a change in other people. They usually live a life so inspiring that others are motivated to make changes in their life just by watching on the sidelines. Great leaders don't just tell you to make changes in your life. Instead, they show you all kinds of reasons and ways to do it. As humans, we're more influenced by results than words. This suggests that leaders who constantly clamor for change but fail to reflect this change in their own lives will eventually inspire nothing in other people, especially the members of their team. Furthermore, if members of a team are static and not improving, it'll consequently lead to a lack of growth and progress, which in turn could run a company or organization into the ground. Number 8, they tell others how to do things. An interesting quote from George S. Patton says, "Never tell people how to do things. Tell them what to do, and they'll surprise you with their ingenuity." Telling people how to do things will only limit their creativity, while giving them the creative freedom will open them up to endless flows of ingenious thought. However, leaders who are excessively full of themselves always want their followers to follow a strict standard or method, causing a lack of invention or innovation. Number 9, they don't have a vision. A certain story tells us of two brothers who left the supervision of their parents to survive on their own. Right before leaving, the first brother makes a decision to go with the flow. He says to himself, "I'll probably discover something interesting along the way, but for now I'll just allow time to do its thing." The second brother, on the other hand, decides to give himself a clear vision of where he intends to be in a few years. He doesn't know how, but he set out into the world with nothing but a vision plan for the future. A few years later, the first brother is still struggling to find meaning in a complicated world, while the second is a few steps closer to achieving the vision he outlined a few years ago. What's the obvious difference between these two brothers? Well, a vision, of course. Interestingly, this is a core factor that separates great leaders from poor ones: the existence of a core vision. A lack of vision will produce a team with no direction, and a team with no direction is unlikely to produce any positive results. Number 10, they've got a reputation for failure. Can you think of a leader who's particularly known for failure? Such a leader is no doubt a poor one. What makes a great leader is the ability to make things happen, no matter the state of the team or circumstances around a situation. Learning to accept failure is a part of leadership. However, it becomes a problem when a leader is known for nothing but failure. Not only does this show they aren't doing something right, it also reflects the shabby state of the team or organization that they've chosen or are leading. Number 11, they don't communicate. If you discover a leader who's pretty bad at communicating, there's a huge chance such a leader won't stay very long in that position. Communication is the soul of working together, and when that soul is non-existent, several problems are bound to arise from this. Communication keeps everyone in the loop. It allows the free flow of creative ideas, which in turn encourages innovation. Bad leaders are not usually active listeners. They only give team members attention so they can get off their necks. They always want their ideas to be implemented, and the ideas of others are always seen as nothing more than mediocre. Number 12, they are know-it-alls. It's perfectly okay not to know everything, right? We mean nobody knows everything. So why then do bad leaders try to make it look like they do know everything? Great leaders are aware of the blind spots in their knowledge, so they're always open to the idea of learning new things. In fact, they're usually extra curious about every bit, and this makes them know everything there is to know about a project. With poor leaders, it's the direct opposite. Not only are they not knowledgeable about the most important things, they, however, claim to be knowledgeable. But if you point out their folly, you best believe they're going to make you out to be the bad guy. Number 13. They don't show up when it matters. In our previous video about inspiring leaders, we mentioned that the great leaders always show up, even when it's difficult, because that's when it really matters. Remember what we said about looking bad? Well, bad leaders never want to seem that way. They never want to be seen as vulnerable or weak, nor would they like to take responsibility for the failures or shortcomings of their team. Eventually, they wouldn't bother showing up. They would rather allow the followers to face the music only to reappear when things are going well again. And just as you guessed, they'll probably take the credit for that too. Number 14. They cannot recognize talent. What makes a great leader is the ability to see through people, an ability to see that special talent that makes a person unique. A good leader will see a talent in an individual who's been considered as talentless, and they can also help these individuals to develop their newly found talents. But poor leaders on the other end of the spectrum are usually clueless or just unbothered about developing the talents of their followers. My talent and skills are just enough for everybody else, the poor leader says, not knowing that being a leader is never about being the most talented. It's in fact about organizing talents to solve critical problems. Number 15. They are inflexible. Having core values and a vision doesn't necessarily mean they aren't subject to change. If a good leader sees a reason to be flexible, they're definitely not going to pass it up. Being flexible opens you up to several more possibilities, which in turn means more opportunities to explore. How to identify a poor leader? Well, they operate by a rigid leadership style, and they aren't open to the possibility of changing it. But the fact remains that the leaders who are more flexible in their approach are far more likely to succeed. And there you have it, Alexer. At this point, we believe you already can identify a number of poor leaders in the political and economic world, and you know what to do to avoid being a leader like them, right? And if you're still with us up to this point in the video, well, you know you deserve a bonus. Number 16. They lack self-confidence and awareness. What's the one thing that we all unconsciously look out for in leaders? Self-confidence. Wouldn't it be kind of weird to be led by an individual who's highly doubtful about their own skills and talents? How exactly would this individual lead other people? Well, we hate to sound like the mean guy, but lack of confidence will get you nowhere as a leader. So if you aspire to be a leader someday, building your self-confidence and awareness is a step in the right direction. Thank you for watching this video, Alexer. If you found it valuable, consider subscribing to our channel and joining our awesome community. And if you're still hungry for more, we handpicked this video for you to watch next, or head over to our website for more amazing content. See you tomorrow.